2 to 3 more minutes, and
Sure.
then we can start officially. But before that, tell me about you. How have you been? How's your day going?
Good. It's been pretty busy. I just got home
Mm-hmm.
and just reset everything, and I told my mom not to disturb me for the next hour. Um, but yeah,
Great,
it's been a busy day.
great, great, great. What are you up to these days? I'm sure like your uni starting in January, right?
These days, I'm
Mhm.
honestly, I'm not doing anything except for um just like de-stressing, and I am the only thing like I'm doing professionally is
Mhm.
my counseling sessions and like doing these little
Right.
like webinars, workshops and stuff.
Mhm.
That's really it. But other than that, I'm not like academically doing anything. So
Anything,
which is
right.
honestly a very great blessing.
Yeah, right, right, right. And when did you graduate from Ziauddin
I
University?
graduated in 2024 Feb. Um,
Oh,
that's when I graduated, and then I moved to the US right after. I moved in April
mm-hmm.
during Ramadan of that year.
Right,
But yeah, I moved right after I graduated. It's been
right.
a little over a year, almost 2 years
Mm-hmm.
now since I've left Pakistan.
Great, great, great. So now, officially starting, these sessions.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Zanab Kamran. I am the growth lead at DreamBridge. DreamBridge, as you know, helps. We're a platform. We have an AI platform. We have a school community that helps people who are interested to pursue their education in the US. We give them mentorship, and we do weekly webinars and brand partnerships and stuff. And moving on, we have our guest, Rebecca from Karachi. She did her BDS from Ziauddin and she graduated back in 2024. After that, she moved to the US and yeah, now she cleared all the exams. She is an incoming student at Columbia University where she'd be pursuing her DDS. So let's get in. Right. Rebecca, I gave an intro, but could you like walk everyone else through? Could you give some more details as to what you've been doing, what exams you gave? So yeah.
Yeah. So, my just to give you like a rundown of my entire process from graduation to getting in for DDS, it basically primarily consists of steps that you need to take in order to apply through the CAAPID cycle. The first thing that I did was right after I graduated, I got my mark sheet, my degree, and that is used for your EC evaluation.
Mm-hmm.
So the EC or WES, there's two evaluation systems that the US uses in order to create an equivalency of your grades and the US grading system. So that's what the most like widely accepted one is the EC, which is the one that I got. A lot of people get WES because there's a few universities, like 2 or 3 universities, that only accept WES.
Right.
So people who are applying like who are applying to all like 30, 32 programs, they tend to
Mhm.
get both because some programs want to see either both or the WES. Anyway, so you get the evaluation, and then once you get your EC evaluation, that is primarily what makes you eligible to give the exam,
Right.
which is the INBDE. The
Mhm.
INBDE is the primary licensing exam for the American dental system. No matter what pathway you're taking, if you want to practice dentistry in the United States, you have to attempt the INBDE before even applying. So it's not something that you can do later. A lot of people try like sometimes like confuse it with um, the dental students who are in the United States, which give the INBD at the end of their final year. But in order to prove that we have received a certain level of education, which makes us equivalent to them at some level, we have to give that exam before we even apply.
Right. And
So yeah,
uh, right. Fine. Moving on. Before butchering your name, could you like pronounce your name? So I want to
Rabika.
Rabika. Right. Fine. Great. So Rabika, tell me a bit about the preparation. कितनी time लगता है prepare करने में और किस तरह का
Hmm.
exam होता है and what's the exam like? Is it like MCQs है, practical है, क्या है?
Hmm. So the the INBDE, usually preparation time is very subjective to the student. It
Right.
depends on a lot of things, like number one, how you were as a student throughout your BDS, which is your dental school in Pakistan, how you were there at that point. Then how long it's been. I feel like the biggest factor, which I always tell students that I'm counseling, and like when I'm making their study plan or their timeline, that's the primary thing that I focus on, is how long has it been since you graduated. Most people now are more aware, so they're a little more proactive with it. Most students that I'm speaking to are like final years or students who are doing their house job now. So since at that point your knowledge is very fresh, I feel like 3 to 4 months, 5 months is good enough for you to prepare for the INBD.
Right.
I have also seen people who have studied for 7, 8 months, really depending on like 3 4 saal ho gaye graduate hue हुए. So like you forget things, especially like the basics that you do in like first, second year. So
Yeah.
that stuff kind of takes time, based on where you are standing with your knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's what the timeline looks like. And then for high wise, there's a few different sources that students can use. The one that I recommend the most is INBD Booster.
Right.
It is like a very nice complete package of everything that you need to know. I personally use that as my primary source, so I will obviously recommend that to anyone who's giving it. INBD Booster, I did also use Bootcamp, which is another subscription-based study plan for people who are giving the INBD. I used that for only a month, but those two were my primary sources. I did not do any books, any like other older materials. There's a lot of older material that is available. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like Booster and Bootcamp are the two that keep like they keep their system very fresh and very in sync with how the exam pattern is changing, especially
Mm-hmm.
since 2024 September, the exam pattern has changed completely. So those two are always the primary sources that I recommend.
Right. And how has the exam pattern changed completely since the
So before September of 2024, the exam had a very repetitive pattern. So the questions used to repeat a lot. Um,
right.
not in terms of the question being the exact same, but the concepts used to repeat. So a lot of people would go in like just like doing past papers and stuff, and they would have a hang on that exam. However, when I have attempted it unluckily in September of 2024, which is exactly when the
Yeah.
pattern changed apparently. Because I had one of my closest friends, she gave the exam on August 29th. She came out, she told me, Rabika, bilkul 2023, ab bilkul purana paper aaya hai, last year wala. I was like, okay, like I'm fully prepared. And then I go in to give the exam. It's nothing like that. I was like, what kind of scam is this? But it completely changed. So the questions changed in terms of the biomedical integration was
Right.
added to a whole other level. So every question will have medicine and dentistry infused with each other. That was,
Mm-hmm.
I think, like the one big thing.
Right.
They really increased the amount of oral pathology, the amount of restorative, prostho, like those are dental subjects. I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
you're like, but, these dental
But I'm
subjects
sure
that
they
were integrated. Yeah, I'm sure the people who are
that's
attending
going
are
to be
understanding
fine.
what I'm saying. Yeah.
Exactly.
So those were added. Just overall, the difficulty level from what the common consensus was,
Mm-hmm.
the difficulty level of the exam really did change.
Right.
Also because of course, like the number of people who are passing the exam was increasing.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, the number of the passing rate significantly dropped
Right.
ever since the change in pattern. So that is definitely something that I feel like INBD Booster and Bootcamp have
Mm-hmm.
kept track of, and
Right.
they have updated their questions
Right.
accordingly.
Great, great, great. Great. So now moving on to the next exam, once the INBD is cleared, and another like quick query for regarding INBD, are you supposed to give that exam in the US only, or you can give it in Pakistan?
Yeah.
What
So the
what's the-
INBDE is only given in the US and Canada. So some people who have like a Canadian citizenship, or they have a Canadian visa, or they're just planning a family vacation to Canada, they are able to give that exam in Canada. However, the seats are very limited.
Right.
And they get taken quicker compared to America, where the exam is literally happening almost every other day. So
Right.
it is easier to give it in America compared to Canada, but that is an option for people who are there.
Right, right. Great, great, great. Now moving on to the next step. Let's say the person has cleared the INBD. What are the next steps for them?
So after the INBD, the next step is definitely the TOEFL. The
Yeah.
TOEFL is basically just an English proficiency exam. That is something that you can give in Pakistan and the US. It really depends on what is convenient for you. With the TOEFL, some universities have a broken down system where
Right.
they want it has 4 parts. So it has reading, listening, speaking, and writing. So some universities provide a big breakdown of exactly what score they want in each component for you to be able to apply there.
Right.
And then there's some schools which have a very generic, they're like, okay, 100, you need a 100 plus score. The total score for TOEFL is a 120.
Right.
Above 100 is what's considered a good competence score where, your application is good enough. Below 100, for me, is always 100% retake. So if any of the students that I'm working with or I'm talking to, they have a score that's below 100, I immediately say retake it.
Right.
I don't think it's a risk worth taking where you're putting
Right.
thousands of dollars into an application. And you don't have a competence score in something so minor, which some universities hold very highly.
Definitely.
So the
Another
TOEFL is definitely the next step.
Right. So for TOEFL, can you also give like IELTS instead of that, or Duolingo,
No,
or
no. So for
Right.
the CAAPID process or for the dental process, they only accept TOEFL.
Perfect.
You can give it anywhere in the world. You can give it online. You can give it on your computer, but it's
Right.
only has to be local.
Perfect. Perfect. Great. So once you have your INBD and TOEFL, what's the next step?
So after that, the next step is going to be working on your application. You start by putting in your personal information. You have educational information that they ask for. So your educational background, your school, college, your dental degree, and all of that. Then the application consists of like a portion where you can add all of your experiences, your extracurriculars, your volunteer work, your co-curricular work, everything like that. They have a section for everything. And then the last part is, of course, the personal statement. So again, one of the very, very integral parts of your statement, something that can make or break your entire application process. Like you could be a gold star student on paper, and if your personal statement, you're not able to kind of word your own story or put in a word. It's like I always call it putting in a word for yourself. So if you're not able to put in a word for yourself, no matter how good your letter of recommendation is, your application is, your grades are, I feel like that totally breaks or makes your application.
Right.
So that is definitely something that I strongly enforce on people is to work on their personal statement. And then once that is done, it's you have to make like a breakdown of all the schools you want to apply to. Of course, there's not a lot of programs, only 32 programs all over the United States. But and then of course, like you can't just go ahead and apply to each and every program unless you have that kind of money. Each application is almost $200, so it's a very expensive and financially training process. So it comes down to breaking down schools, deciding what you want to do, where you want to go, all of that. So you do all of that, and then in the application, like the CAAPID portal itself, you make a rundown of all the applications that you want to put in and all of that. And then comes March.
Right.
March is when you apply. The cycle usually opens on 7th, 8th, or 9th of March,
Right.
based on like I think when it's on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. I know it's in the middle of the week. I don't remember exactly which day it is, but it's like
Right.
the first or second Tuesday of March where the applications open. They are open for the next 3 to 4 months. Some deadlines are June 1st. Some universities have a July 1st deadline or June 30th deadline. Some of them have August. And then there's also 4 or 5 schools that don't open their applications in March. They open their applications in July, and then their applications end in like October. So that's basically the last step, is deciding your
Perfect.
schools and applying.
Perfect. Perfect. So you mentioned about personal statements, right? Give some tips. How is someone supposed to curate a good personal statement that gets them into good schools?
Okay, so with personal statements, it's good that we're talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
With personal statements, I feel like the number one common mistake telling up, I don't know what to call it, but the most common thing that I see on personal statements is my first time I went to a dentist when I was 7 years old, and I decided that I want to be a dentist. Like that
Yeah.
is,
Cliche.
if I had $1 for every time I read that line. It is insane. I feel like making your application, not everyone wants to be a dentist since the day they were
Mm-hmm.
born. They don't.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that is not something that impresses them, because
Definitely.
it's good even if you didn't want to be a dentist. Like if
Yeah.
you found your way to dentistry, like there's so many ways that some people don't even want to do dentistry.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people want to do medicine, MBBS, and then they don't get in, and then they do BDS.
Yeah.
I feel like, why not share that? Like, why
True.
not talk about it? I have a friend who just got in, and she put that in her personal statement, the fact that dentistry wasn't her first priority, but then she brought it so beautifully in her personal statement. She wrote how, dentistry, she found her true passion there, even though that's not what she thought her true calling was, you know.
Right.
So I feel like that's the number one mistake,
Mm-hmm.
is making generic statements. The number two common mistake I feel like people make in personal statements is using ChatGPT.
Well,
like,
that is such a
that
big
is
no. Like
like
university straight up like
the other day I was reading a
yeah.
personal statement that someone sent me, and I put it in my system, and it was like 86 or 80 something percent. I was like, what are you doing?
No, no,
Like,
no. I think you're
how do you not expect them to know this?
exactly
How
like
do you not expect them to understand that this is not the vocabulary that we come from?
mm-hmm.
And there's no shame in admitting it. We don't
No,
use hefty, shifty English words and phrases.
exactly.
That's
Exactly.
not something you need to make up in order to fit it.
Exactly.
So definitely that, I feel like, not understanding what to put in your personal statement in terms of experiences. Um, you have like, there's students, like for example, I'll take my example. I had so many experiences, so many, like all the way. If I start like noting from A levels, I had done so much. But to identify that, okay, these are the 2, 3 things I want to talk about, you don't need to talk about your entire life story in your personal
Mm-hmm.
statement. So to identify the things that you need to highlight in your personal statement is definitely something that people kind of lack, especially with CAAPID,
Mm-hmm.
because there are so many sections where you're already writing down every possible thing that you might have done. Like everything under the sun, they have a section for it.
Mm-hmm.
So for people to, kind of repeat all of that in your personal statement, nobody's interested at that point. Like they don't want to um, read it again and again. So I feel like that a lot of people I know, they take personal statement help from people who are,
Mm-hmm.
not in the field.
Right.
So I work with this career counseling company where I offer career counseling, and they have like a whole team for personal statement, essay
Mm-hmm.
writers and stuff, and they openly accept the fact that we don't know the dental and medical journey. So we can't help them with it,
Mhm.
because only a person who understands and relates to your
Definitely.
story will be able to help
Right.
you kind of bring it on paper.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something that I feel like people need to understand more is, personal statement is very, um,
Personal. Yeah.
it's very personal, and it's
Yeah.
very, highly ranked in terms of things that they are looking at, the
Definitely.
admissions committee is looking at.
Mhm.
So to invest in that a little bit, or to kind of, take help for it,
Mhm.
uh, I definitely think it's something that is very
Right.
intense.
Right, right. Another quick question, like, since I am not from dentistry, so I'm not sure about this thing.
Mhm.
Like when you're applying to all these universities and when you're preparing your application, do you also include any observations or any, someone said observerships? I don't
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
do you say that?
Yeah,
Or
so all of that is included.
that?
All of that is
Okay.
fully included in your CAPID application. So definitely, you can put it in your personal statement. Sometimes there's experiences, there's patient interactions that are like
Mhm.
life changing for me.
Yeah,
So definitely that's something you can put in your personal statement. But if it's not that
right,
big,
right.
you can just put it in your application, and they're still going to look at it. So
Mhm.
it's not going to go to waste. Nothing's going to go to waste.
Great, great. And someone's asking about the ECE evaluation done. They're asking how long it takes before the INBDE.
So the EC evaluation only takes 3 to 4 weeks for it to come back. Sometimes even 2 weeks.
Right,
So it doesn't take long.
right. And what about the letter of recommendations? How did you get, good letter of recommendations? Because that again has quite a good weightage,
It
in the
does. It
application.
does. Your letters of recommendation do, play a huge role again in your
Mhm.
application.
Right.
I got, so they have a very set um amount of people that they want letters from. So they need 3 letters of recommendation in the CAPIT cycle.
Right.
One is supposed to be from a US based dentist. So if you're
Mhm.
applying to the US, you need to have done some sort of observership, some sort of preceptorship, or shadowing, or some sort of US clinical experience in order for you to get that. You can't
Mhm.
just get that
Right.
letter of recommendation. So that's one,
Right.
which is a
Mhm.
non-negotiable for any school. The second
Right.
one is from any faculty from your parent institute. So since I
Mhm.
was from Dalbean, I got one from my head of department in one of my departments, and then one from your dean or your principal.
Right.
So these are the 3 non-negotiable letters of recommendation. There's some universities that ask
Mhm.
for more. So some
Right.
universities will be like, hey, if you have a fourth letter, you can always send it directly to us. You can send it to CAPID, but you can send it directly to that university. And those universities like Tufts does that, Boston University does that. There's a few universities that do it. And your mentor or your teacher, your faculty or principal, they can directly send it to them. I
Mhm.
know, like for example, Tufts, they need a letter of recommendation from someone who you have volunteered for. So
Right.
this can be a dental volunteering, this can be like some sort of medical volunteering, teaching volunteer, any volunteering experience is required. So
Right.
they need that letter of recommendation. Some people have those extra requirements that they have, but they will always, once you put in your application, they email you and they let you know, hey, you need to send us this extra whatever,
Right.
and then you can send that to them.
Great, great, great. Got it. Once the LORs are done, once the application is done, what is the waiting period? I think you apply in either like in March, or
March.
for some schools it's July, right? So
Yeah.
once you get in, what's CAPID and what is everything else? But
So you put your application in through CAPID.
Mhm.
Everything is done.
Right,
CAPID basically the CAPID portal itself. They email your you put in the email IDs for the people that you are taking the letter of recommendation for. So
right,
those you are not taking them from the people to you and then to CAPID. You
hmm
just put in their email address. CAPID emails them
right,
and asks them for the LOR. So that is something that the student cannot see. Like
right.
I, for example, I've never seen the 3 letters of recommendation
Yeah.
that went to it. So you don't know what they've written unless
Mhm.
you have that kind of relationship with your teacher or your principal or the US dentist that's writing the letter for you, कि वो आपको खुद दिखा दें. But
बिल्कुल
if they don't show you, then CAAPID will never show you कि आपका letter of recommendation आया कैसा था, if it was even
right
positive or negative.
right
So a lot of times, your faculty will tell you to write it for them. Because Pakistan में people are lazy, so they don't want to do anything themselves. So they will tell the student कि आप अपना LOR लिख के हमको भेज
Make
देना,
her
हम आपको
बिल्कुल
भेज देंगे.
that happens
Fortunately, I didn't have to do that with my teachers, but when I was in the process of trying to approach faculty for it, there was 2-3 people who told me, कि, oh, like आप अपना लिख के भेजना. I was like, well, I can't do that.
that
So
happens
that's a way where you can know your LORs. But anyway, so you put your CAAPID application, they ask for LORs. LORs आपके चले जाते हैं. Then
right
once your LORs, your mentors send them, that's when your application is considered complete.
right perfect
Now, let's say for me, I applied to 5 schools. So those 5 schools, they will email me, say, I've received your application and everything, and this is everything that I need extra. Like besides CAAPID, you filled your CAAPID application, that is complete, but now I need all of this from you. So some universities, like I applied to UPenn, they asked for 4 or 5. They sent me like 4 or 5 questions, and I had to write kind of like a short essay type of answer for each and every question. So
right
they had that. Some universities have, again, as I said, an extra letter of recommendation that they need, an extra experience that they need. Some universities don't have any requirements as such. They just take like a supplemental fee and that's it. So it
right
really depends from school to school. That's something that the schools that you have applied to will send it to you directly, but that's when your application is considered complete. Once your application is complete, the waiting period is really, again, based on every school. It's really, I always say it's really the toughest part about the whole process is the waiting. Once you put your applications in and you're waiting, my first reply I applied like I think 2 days right after the applications opened. The applications opened on March 7th for me, and I was done with submitting everything on 9th. Like I was fully done. So most schools are on a rolling basis. Now, what a rolling basis means is that जितनी जल्दी आप अपनी application डालेंगे, उतनी जल्दी आपकी application consider होगी. So I think 4 out of the 5 schools that I was applying to were rolling basis. So I was like, I'm not going to wait around. So I applied for everything the next day. And the first callback that I received was from a University of Illinois, which was April 15th. So around a month. That was my first interview that I gave on April 29th. So a month and a half-ish, or almost 2 months, let's say, was when I started interviewing. And then it's like every university is different. So after April 29th, I think I got an interview from NYU, which was the first week of May. Then Columbia was second week of May, and then is tarah se aista karte wo. Most schools have 2 rounds of interviews. So you get through the first round, and then you get into the second round. So wo hote around June tak to you are interviewing. 2 months is just interviews back to back, which hopefully, like if you get that many interviews, some people do like 1 or 2 interviews, and they get in just in that one case, or they don't.
Just a quick query, like since what I know from business field is that the best schools that you want to apply to, you need to have a really good CGPA for that, right? So is that something how it works in the BDS or the dentistry industry as well? Is there a GPA?
So there is a GPA. The EC evaluation that you get is GPA based, but it has a very nice breakdown of how you did in your non-clinical years versus your clinical years. So the GPA definitely matters. If you have everything but not a good GPA, then your application is a 0. Like I always, if someone's like looking into the US pathway and I have like my first counseling like intro call with them, and they tell me that like my GPA is 2.8, 2.9, I'm like, this is not for you, because I don't want people to be wasting their money on something that is so competitive. There, every other person you meet has a 4.0. Every other person you meet. I personally do not know not even a single applicant within my circle or my friends or my people who are from my university, let's say, that are below 4.0. So
Wow.
something that's so competitive, I feel like it's just a waste of money to even apply if you don't have a good GPA. However, if you have a Pakistani, let's say, यहाँ पे आपकी university ने आपको GPA दिए, at the end of your final year, your CGPA is 3.5, 3.6, that gets evaluated into a 4.0
Right.
to EC because their marking system is a little more lenient.
Right.
So it does go up to a 4.0. So don't, I feel like anywhere above a 3.2, 3.3, you can definitely make it because a 3.3 will go up to a 3.7, 3.8. But the number of 4.0s that apply is insane. So it's very, very competitive.
Right. Good. Right. So what are some common mistakes that, students make during their CAAPID cycle?
Common mistakes. So I would say the first common mistake I feel like is not having done their research and not knowing exactly what the programs that they want to apply to and what the requirements for those programs are. So let's say I already mentioned Tufts, for example. They need a volunteer experience. So if you don't have volunteering experiences and you just put Tufts as one of the schools and they then email you saying, I need a volunteer LOR, then at that point, you are stuck because you've already put $250 into the application. You've sent them all your extra stuff, which is like $100, $150. And you don't have that one basic thing that they need. So not doing enough research on the programs that you are applying to is definitely number one. Another thing that I think briefly touched upon is repeating your CAAPID application material in your personal statement.
Right.
That is, I feel like, one of the most common mistakes. They will read neither. If there's so much repetition, that also speaks about how you have such less in your resume or your application that आप वही चीज हर जगह use करते हैं.
Right.
So that's, I feel like.
So if you were to give an example of a really good, let's say, overall CAAPID profile, TK, what would it be? If let's say there's someone from the audience just like you and they're targeting all these good universities, the Ivies, right? What would they have on their CAAPID process or CAAPID application?
Their CAAPID number one will be the fact that they have an amazing GPA. Their university mark sheet should, like their original mark sheet should be crisp, like very good grades. That's number one, I feel like. For the American system, I know there's a lot of other systems which don't hold that very highly, but the American system holds that very highly. So a good GPA. Number two would be, who are you besides your grades? So what do you have to offer? What have you done besides getting all these grades? Like, there might be someone, I can be a bookworm and get a 4.0, but then what do I have to offer to the program or to the community of that school? So especially Ivy Leagues, I feel like they're very big on, like, how is this person going to represent us after graduating? Or like, if this person is going to be a Penn alumni or this person is going to be a Columbia alumni or a Harvard alumni, what are they showing the world? What are your initiatives as an individual? Have you worked for volunteer societies? Have you done any extracurriculars? Are you good at sports? Other things besides your grades also matter a lot.
Right.
Definitely extracurriculars, definitely research is a big one, one. I am no one to speak because I have zero researches. I have not done a single research. But it's again about, how you use that to your strength or how you kind of, it was pretty obvious on my application that I hadn't done any research. I did not put any research experience whatsoever. But I knew that the schools that I was applying to, they held research up to a standard. And I knew that if someone who was equally competent with me and had done research, they would get in above me.
Right.
So I really did maneuver that whole situation in my interviews as to why I didn't do research, or like, why that's something that's missing on my profile. But it was just as simple as the fact that it's not something I'm interested in. So a lot of people will ask me, oh, what can I add to my CV? What can I add to my resume? And I always say, don't add things to your resume just to add them. I would rather have 5 things on my resume, but things that I can speak about, things that have taught me things, things that my interview will, run by, rather than अगर मुझसे कोई मैं डाल दे, I could have put research as like a fake experience, nobody would know. I could have asked one of my teachers to put in a word for me, but it's about what if they ask me something about it and I don't know jack. So it's like, that definitely research is a big one. After that, personal statement is definitely a big one. A good TOEFL score. So as I mentioned, a TOEFL score that gets eyes on you is anywhere above 100 and 203. So I know people who got into Columbia also with 105. Columbia is actually one of the schools that holds TOEFL to a very, very high standard. So 110 plus is what puts you where, like, creme de la creme, like you are top tier. It really puts your application at a whole other level if your TOEFL score is good. Other than passing your INBDE in one attempt, that is something that they look at. A lot. I'm not saying people who didn't pass it in one attempt don't get in, but most people who get in are INBDE for first attempt. People who pass that. So definitely that US experience, the more the merrier. So the more US experience, observerships, shadowing, research, US, preceptorships, any fellowships, anything in the US. If you have put yourself in the US medical system.
And how do you do that as a Pakistani, for example, you're studying, in Pakistan, you did your BDS from here, and let's say you go there for an exam, but how do you sort of have access to other sort of, activities like you mentioned?
I feel like it's honestly very, very easy to get observership. So let's say if you're going to the US, I'm planning on going October. Let's say I'm going with my family in December, and I know that I'm going to be in New York, right? I would immediately start looking for clinics in the area that I'm going to be staying in. Let's say I'm staying in New Jersey with some family. I look for clinics near my family's home, or I look for clinics near the hotel that I'm staying at. So, excuse me, that's definitely something that you can find online very, very easily. You find those places, you email them, you call them. For me, calling was really, just cold calling them was what really helped me find a job. Even in both, I had 2 jobs throughout 2.5 years, and both of them I got through cold calling. Dropping CVs and emails was not helping at all. But with observerships, it usually does. Just emailing them and asking, because there's no harm. They don't mind extra help. You can just be like, hey, I'm a student, I'm trying to pursue dentistry in the United States. I'd say 5 out of 10 times they will let you in. They won't let you do it like all 5 days a week, but they'll probably give you like 1 day a week कि आप आके Thursdays को हमें shadow कर लें, या आप Wednesday Thursday को आके shadow कर लें, इस दिन हमारा busy day होता है, so they need that extra help as well. So you can offer that, and then that way I always also tell people, okay, if you're getting an observership in one place for 2 days, you can do another place for the other 2 days of the week. It doesn't matter that you're doing them at the same time. What matters is that you have more experiences on your CAAPID application. You have more, because a lot of times I know so many people who have done one observership, and that dentist who they've worked with, they will completely ghost you at the time of your CAAPID application. So it's very important to stay in touch with those dentists, because if I do my observership in December and I'm approaching them in March, I need a LOR, they just won't reply. Like, so you
Yeah.
need those backups. Do them simultaneously. Even if you're able to go to America once throughout your 4 years, make the most of it. Try to do 2, 3 observerships at least. Then when you go to give the exam, you can do an observership at that point, or like a shadowing experience at that time, whatever it is. But
Great.
get into the US system. That is definitely something that sets you apart, because
Right.
100% आपके experiences बहुत बढ़ जाते हैं. The kind of environment that you are exposed to, you can put that in your LOR. You can put that in your personal statement. You can put that in your application. You can talk about it in your interviews. So it gives you a lot of material.
Right, right, right. Great, great, great. Just like last question, and then I'd be opening the floor for Q&A, right? So my question now is, tell me a bit about like funding options. Are there any scholarships that these universities give? Are there any loan options, for international students? Or what is it like?
So there's no scholarships.
Right,
There are no scholarships that med schools give. It's not just for international students. This is also something that applies to local students.
right.
US citizens, no matter who you are. Med schools, dental schools in the US do not offer scholarships, because these are grad programs. Like undergrad gives scholarships, but grad schools do
Yeah,
not.
right.
So there's no scholarships. However, there are a lot of funding options. So if you are a US citizen or a green card holder, it's a very straightforward process. You apply to school. You apply for a loan through FAFSA. FAFSA is basically the government funding that aids your education if you're going into grad school. If you're becoming a doctor, dentist, or a lawyer, something that is a high-profile profession, then in that case, mostly FAFSA will cover 100% of your expenses.
Right.
So 100%
Payment costs are only for for local students
for
or
local. Yes, right now I'm touching on citizens and green card.
Right.
So FAFSA is going to cover everything for you, which includes your tuition, your living, your food, your commute, your everything. They give you enough that you can sustain yourself. So that's one thing. If you are an international student, purely international, which means you do not have a green card, you do not have a citizenship, you are probably going to go on a student visa. In that case, FAFSA does not apply. So the government is not going to fund your education. Your education will be funded by private companies. So these private companies can be banks. These private companies can be student loaning agencies. There's a lot of them. There's some in Pakistan that help students get through their education. However, the issue with dentistry in specific is, number one, not a lot of people are taking loans from Pakistan. So the Pakistani companies have no idea what kind of money goes into it. Number two, even if you go to them, they probably will not be able to fund it, because by the end of your 2.5, 3-year DDS program, you are on average around 300 to 500K down USD. So 300 to 500K USD is not something that a Pakistani company
they would never do that, definitely.
give you. So you have to fall back on the US companies. Now, US private loan companies or banks, usually people do the banking option just because it's more convenient, safer. So banking may or your private loans may, the only main thing or the main hurdle that people face is it's that also is pretty straightforward. The university, the good about dental school or at these advanced standing programs or the CAAPID cycle is that the university really guides you through everything. So before my application, I did not know anything about FAFSA, how to fill it, how to do it. I kind of just worked on it on my own. And then as soon as I got my acceptance, they helped me through everything. So they talk to FAFSA for you. You have a whole financial aid team who's helping you. And like, it's very, very smooth after that. And it's the same for international students. So even if you're applying to like private applying for private loans, the university will help you. They usually, a lot of universities have affiliations with certain banks. So they will help you get connected. They will help you get a good representative that can, kind of push you through every step. And then the only difference, the only main hurdle that I was talking about is the co-signer.
Right.
So as an international student who is going there on a student visa, you
Mm-hmm.
need a co-signer. Now, co-signer is supposed to be someone who is in the US, who's earning in the US, who's a taxpayer. That person has to sign a document saying that I take guarantee कि ये बच्चा जो है ये अपने फीस बाद में पे कर देगा. अभी ये लोन ले रहा है but बाद में पे कर देगा. I have even seen people's families decline to co-sign. Like your own chacha, mamu, khala will not co-sign for you. It's
Yeah,
a responsibility. However,
definitely.
there is no legal obligation that they face. In
Right.
case you don't pay your loans, which nobody ever does that, if you have gone through this whole process, 99% people pay back and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But the co-signer does not have to go through any legal obligations
Mm-hmm.
in case you don't pay. It's totally on you.
Right.
But just for that piece of paper or just for that security, they do take that cosign very
Right.
seriously, and
Right.
it is 100% requirement for you to be approved for the loan. So after that, the fund directly goes into your university account, and then the university releases the funds to you, जो आपके living और सबके लिए होते हैं. They release that to you, and
Mhm.
then you're good to go.
Great, great, great. Now I'm opening up the floor for people. So if anyone has any questions, they can write that in the chat box or they can unmute themselves. First question is Shanz is asking, do universities prefer students with US citizenships? As a Pakistani citizen, am I at a disadvantage?
So there are 6, 7 universities that have a preference. They very clearly, again, as I spoke of, the fact that people don't do enough research. If you do research on each and every program, all of those 7, 8 universities, 6, 7 universities, whatever, they have it clearly mentioned on their website that we have a preference for US citizens, or we only take US citizens and green card holders, or we do not sponsor student visas. So
Mhm.
in that case, it all goes down on your research. So there are some schools who do that, but अगर वो लोग सिर्फ US citizen पे बैठे रहेंगे तो their seats won't get full. So it doesn't put you at a disadvantage.
Great, great. Hamza also has another question. Hamza, would you like to unmute yourself? Right. So basically, he's just asking about how are like
Yeah,
the
hello.
timeline. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm asking how much time does it take after you've graduated to clear out your loans? That's the question.
To clear out your loan, okay.
Yeah.
So to clear out your loan, that is fully based on you. Some people choose to do $1,000 per month. Some people choose to do $2,500 per month. Some people choose to do 5K a month. It depends on how you want to plan out your loan repayment. Now, straight out of dental school, you're typically making around in today's economy, you're making around 120 to 200K based on how much work you do, how many hours you work, all of that. So if you're making 200K per year, it really depends on how you are prioritizing your expenses. I know a lot of times people like right after graduation, they're gonna like upgrade their car, upgrade their house, upgrade their standard of living while being 500K in debt. So it's really a personal, financial call that you take as to how you want to manage this. Do you want to be under this hefty loan for the next 5 years, 10 years, or do you want to pay it in the next like 3 years and get done with it? 3 years is a stretch. You cannot pay 500K in 3 years. Typically, it takes 5, 6 years, but 100% depends. I know people who have graduated like 20 years ago and they're still paying their loans because they paid $1,000 per month. So $1,000 per month, and you have a fee of like 300K. You do the math and like how many years will it take you? But they don't care because they're like, हमारे pocket में पैसा होना ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है पहले loan लगा रहे, because all that's adding up is interest. And in being in the US, interest is considered something very routine. So they don't really care about that 4 or 5% interest that's adding on. Private loans do have a higher interest rate than the government ones, but it fully depends on you.
Got it. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Ramin, you can unmute yourself and ask.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Rabika.
Bye.
I have to ask that I graduated as valedictorian of my class this year, and secondly, how much does it all process cost? The CAAPID cycles and observerships and living there by my own self if I do all the observerships and all.
Okay. So the cost, let's break down the CAPIT cost first. For the CAPIT cycle, the first thing that you pay for is your EC evaluation. I'm sorry, I don't remember the exact cost, but I think EC evaluation was $190. Then the second thing that you pay for is your INBDE. Your INBDE exam is around $1,300. Then you have your TOEFL, which is now $270. Then you start with your CAPID application. The CAPID application, the first application that you push through is $250. And then every next application, let's say I applied to 5 schools. The first school I paid $250, and then the other 4 schools I paid $190 USD. After that, every school has a supplemental application. So the supplemental application is basically them, वो जो मैंने आपको बताया था कि वो अपने extra LORs मांग लेते हैं, extra essays मांग लेते हैं, personal statement कभी extra मांग लेते हैं, CV मांगते हैं, जो अलग-अलग उनको चीजें चाहिए वो, and their own university fee. Because the first fee that you're paying it to CAPID. The second fee goes to the university, which is considered your application, your supplemental fee. This supplemental fee is different for every school, but it ranges from $100 to $250. So that depends on the number of schools that you are applying to. ठीक है, that's that expense. फिर उसके बाद ऊपर के खर्चे ये होते हैं इसमें. Every school will ask you to send a copy of, not every school, but I'd say 75-80% of the schools will ask you to send your INBD result directly to them. So that costs $45 each time. And then schools will ask you to send the TOEFL result directly to them, which is $25 every time. Then schools ask you to send, her school EC evaluation ही मांगता, I think मुझे सिर्फ एक school ने मांगी थी, which is again $45 again to send your ECE. उससे पहले जब आप,
so basically they need like hard copies of it.
They need direct copies. So that, for example, ECE will send it directly to the school. TOEFL will send it directly to the school.
So I'll pay to the EC for sending them that particular school that document.
It's on their website. They have a whole system. So on the website, you can go, you can select ke aapko which school you're sending it to. They ask you for the school's details, and then they send it directly to the school. Their main thing is just it should be authentic. There shouldn't be any forged documents. So that's how they make sure that everything that's reaching them is fully authentic.
Oh, okay. So it makes around like 10 or 20K dollars.
No.
$20,000.
No. $5,000 to $6,000.
Oh, okay.
Depending on the number of schools you're applying to. So
I mean, is there a limit to how many number of schools we can apply, or
there's only 32 programs, so you can apply to 32, up to 32.
oh, okay. Thank you.
No problem.
Great. Next we have Shanze. Shanze, you can unmute yourself and ask.
Assalamu alaikum. So basically, I wanted to ask you, आपने जब अपना BDS कर लिया था and you moved abroad, so how long did you take to give your exam? And were you working during the process? कि जब आप, between the time that you graduated and you gave the exam, were you also like doing something? Because I recently finished my house job in April, and then I took a couple of months, and मैंने अभी September में अपना exam दिया. I'm just a little worried because I wasn't doing something during those months. I was just studying, and I know it's a little hard to explain to the interviewer कि आप क्या कर रहे थे उस दौरान. So do you think that's like puts me at a disadvantage? And one more thing, I also wanted to ask about the bench test. क्योंकि कुछ I know कि सारे colleges के लिए requirement नहीं है, but did you like target schools that did not ask for a bench test, or is it like a requirement for everyone? So
okay. So first thing, what you asked me was if I was working. So yes, I was working throughout the time that I was studying. I gave my exam 6 months into graduating. I graduated in February, and I gave my exam in the first week of September. So I think it was 6 months. And throughout those 6 months, I was working. The only month I didn't work was March. I moved to America on the 2nd of April, and I was at work on, I think, the 9th of April. So I was working throughout. But does it put you at a disadvantage? I don't think so, because you can definitely justify the time that you have spent studying. It's not important for you to be working. Not everyone, has that. And you've done your house job, so it's not like you're a blank paper. You have your house job as an experience for sure. And then if you have that little gap, you were studying. So I think that's fully justifiable. And then the bench test part, I did only go for schools that did not have a bench test. So I did not apply to any schools that had a bench test, but that is a huge risk. It's a huge risk. I was fully prepared to not get in. But I do not recommend what I did to anyone, because of course, like, there's risks that you can take for yourself, but you don't want other people to be taking them. So bench test is a requirement for, I think, 70% of the schools. There's a very small number of schools, I think total 10 or 11 schools that don't take the bench test. So it really does narrow down your options a little bit. उनमें से भी 3-4 ऐसे हैं जो सिर्फ US citizens और green card holders को लेते हैं. So yeah, उनकी preference होती है green card holders. So that's definitely something that I would not want anyone to risk. But yeah, the bench test is different for every school. Every school takes their own bench test. When they do have a little bench test fee also, which I forgot to mention. Depending on each school, they charge like $150, $200 for every bench test that you have to give. So you have to go in person, give that exam. Like, it's like for those of you who don't know what a bench test is, it's like a phantom head या sim head जो आपका mannequin होता है, उसके ऊपर आपको cavity preps, crown preps करके दिखानी होती है, and that also plays a role in your acceptance.
Okay,
Right.
thank you so much. Thank you.
No problem.
Next, we have Urva. Urva is asking, if you don't have a sponsor in the US, is it easy to get a visa to give the test?
Yes, you don't need a sponsor for your US visit visa. You can book your exam. You can show them that that's the reason that you want to go. However, the problem with that is कि पाकिस्तान में visit visa का wait time बहुत ज़्यादा होता है. So once you get your interview call is when you can book your exam. क्योंकि interview call के फौरन बाद, I think 2-3 हफ्ते बाद आ जाता है आपका visa. So when you apply for your visit visa, you get your interview call. Let's say आपकी interview आता है December में. आप December में जा रहे हैं interview देने. At that point, when you're going for your interview, preferably you should have your exam date. So you should be able to show them that मेरा इस दिन exam है तो मुझे travel करना है. That is a very good reason for, like, it increases your chances of getting that visa.
Right, great. Next question, who would like to unmute, जो भी हैं जिन्होंने हाथ raise किए हुए, they can unmute and ask.
I think Zoha Noor, she's been.
Yeah, Zoha, unmute yourself.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum.
Awesome.
How are you, Rabika?
Good, thank you.
I just want to ask about the TOEFL, like how you prepared, because I'm in that time to give my TOEFL exam, but it's very overwhelming for me. So can you share your experience about that?
I'm the worst person to ask anything about TOEFL because I did not study for my TOEFL exam. I'm very ashamed to admit, but I did not study for it. I literally watched YouTube videos the day before my exam, and that was it. I do recommend TST Prep. It's a YouTube channel. I don't think you need to buy books or anything for TOEFL, especially if you're like an English speaker. Like at this point, it's almost like our first language. So if you are an English speaker and you are confident in your English, then I think watching YouTube should be sufficient. I wouldn't recommend watching it on the last day like me, but TST Prep has amazing what do you call that? Amazing like sample exams that you can use in order to practice and stuff. I honestly did that way after my TOEFL exam. Now that I'm counseling people, I've started to watch those videos to help them. But they are really, really good and very comparable to the actual TOEFL.
You gave any mock exam before your actual exam?
no, I just used that TST prep sample
Got
exam
it.
things. I just did those the night before my exam. That's it.
And how was the actual exam experience? Like, was it tough or was it doable? Like, what
I
do
would
you?
say I know a lot of people struggle with the time management part of TOEFL, especially in the writing section.
Mhm.
So I feel like time management, as long as you're good with that, I don't think it was a very undoable. I don't like people don't score very well in their first attempt a lot of times, which is completely normal. But I feel like if you have a good hang on your time management, on your writing, on your typing, then you should be good.
Got it. All right. All the best for the upcoming years. Really
Thank
happy
you.
for you. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Allah
Thank you so much.
Hafiz.
Love it.
Right.
Next question.
Next, we have Alize Keshwani. We have Verda.
Hi. Hi, I have a question that I'm someone who graduated a few years ago, so I have a gap in like studies and stuff. So I want to restart my prep, and what's the best way to get into the prep content wise before diving into the practice questions? Like, do I do subject wise, and what's the best resources to review the content first? Because I know I don't want to review the content like I did in my BDS.
Hmm, of
I
course.
want to I want it to be a little bit summarized and more targeted to words like the INBD question
IMDb.
wise.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you have a break in your padhai, I would say first thing you should do is start with notes. But again, don't do your BDS notes or your BDS books. You can definitely, the first thing you can do is subscribe to like Booster or Bootcamp. उनके बहुत अच्छे summarized notes होते हैं. They're very to the point in terms of what is relevant for the exam. So I would start there. Start off with reading the notes. Even after reading the notes a couple of times, when you go to the practice questions, don't expect to get like 70, 80% or 60% even. It's completely normal to flunk the question because, of course, you are out of practice. And, you know, it's not easy to translate your knowledge onto MCQs that quick because they're not straightforward MCQs. They're all tier 4 MCQs. So everything is like a scenario or everything is going to be a full situation or like 1,000 vitals and all of that. So don't expect yourself to get a hang of it very quickly, but definitely you can subscribe to Booster Bootcamp. I do have a Booster discount code if you're looking into subscribing to that. So do your notes, then do the practice questions. I feel like take them side by side. Don't just keep doing the notes and then come back to the questions. If you're doing, let's say, oral surgery, so read your material, practice the questions, then go to cross-throw, read the material, do the questions, and keep doing it back and forth. I think I did the questions like 6 times before moving on to the next subscription. So that's definitely something you can do. You can easily mark questions that you don't like, you know, you don't get a hang of in the first go. You can go ahead and keep reading them, keep reading the explanations, watch videos about it. I feel like that's a good way to start. If you feel like the notes are not clearing out your concepts, YouTube has a channel called Mental Dental, which has really good detailed descriptions and detailed chapters and full study material for the INBDE. I don't recommend that because I feel like it takes a lot of time. I did try to, you know, do that initially when I was trying to prepare for my INBDE. It just took a lot of time, especially for people who everything is fresh for. You don't need to study everything all over again. But since in your case you have had like a little gap, I can say if there's something that you aren't able to grasp from the notes, you can definitely you know, refer to the videos and they will help you.
Great.
All right, that's good to know. Thank you for your time and guidance.
No problem.
Next is Verda. Verda, unmute yourself and ask.
Hi, Assalamu alaikum, Rabika. First of all, congratulations on getting in an Ivy.
Thank you.
Okay, so I wanted to ask you, like, how are the job prospects after DDS in the US? Because under the current political climate, we would need sponsorship for people who are not citizens. So, do you know people who are getting sponsorships, and what's the job? What are the job prospects like? Basically, is it all worth it?
So the job prospects are good.
Right.
With the current bill that's being passed, the whole 100K for an H-1B visa situation, that does make it a little tricky. However, in America, there's a lot of huge dental corporations that own like hundreds and thousands of clinics throughout the country. They do have that kind of money where you can get sponsored. So that is doable. Of course, like I can't really predict the future. But for now, what I can tell you is that you're not going to struggle to find a job. Because another thing that I feel like a lot of people are unaware about with this is unrelated to your question, but a lot of times people are unaware is that in America, dentistry is not a fixed salary profession. This is not a profession where you will sign a contract for 120K a year and make that money, kind of drop in your bank account. That's not what happens. You make money according to the number of patients that you do, the kind of patients that you do, the kind of cases that you do. So it comes down to that, like how productive are you as a dentist? That depicts how much money you are going to make. So you're not going to be hired by a company at like $5,000 per month. You will be hired by a company to come into their practice and see their patients. And then you say, let's say I'm a dentist and I'm hired at a clinic. मैं पूरे दिन अगर वहाँ पे बैठी रहूँगी and I don't do a single patient, I make $0 that day. Zero. So it's on me as a dentist कि मैं कितने patients देख रही हूँ, कितने patients मेरे पास आना चाहते हैं, मैं कितने patients को बोल रही हूँ कि आपको filling, crown और braces करवाने हैं और वो मेरी बात सुन रहे हैं और मुझसे करवा रहे हैं वो चीजें. That depicts the money that I make. Not so dentistry is not a salaried profession over there. So nobody is afraid of hiring you because they don't have to pay you. You have to pay yourself.
Right. No, I understand. Thank you for that. And just one more question. How important are RQs for preparing for the INBDE? Are booster and bootcamp enough, or do we need to go through the RQs? Because like the MCQs on the groups, the INBDE groups, they're actually quite different from how we see MCQs on the booster, probably because the statements are incomplete and they really do put one off during the prep. So do you think one should dedicate some time to those as well?
So for me, I was done with, by the time you're done with both of your subscriptions, your mock exams, you probably have like 4 or 5 days left for your exam. At that point, maybe you can go over or skim through those questions just to get an idea ke shayad agar repeat ho gaya. I would not refer to them as a source of information.
Okay.
I feel like just to be secure, or just to have that peace of mind that I've done everything, just go through them, but don't rely on them as a source of knowledge. You don't need to do that.
Right. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Okay, next question is from Muhammad Bilal. Bilal, you can unmute yourself and ask, and then I take Malaika's question.
Hello, assalamu alaikum to everyone. So basically, my question could be a little longer, but it's basically a situation, right? I graduated back in 2017, right? My GPA wasn't the best while graduating. I think it's probably close to 3, if I'm not mistaken. I heard that you were saying that ECE does give a slight boost to your GPA. Considering that, and after that, starting up your own clinic, teaching at a dental college, and having other co-curricular activities, or volunteering work, and just all of that stuff, do you think that all of that could add up onto your CAAPID application, of course, once you've given your INDB and everything, or does that put you to a disadvantage? Number one, being a graduate from back in the years. Number two, because of the fact that you didn't do great in your dental college. That's question number one. If you could answer that first, please.
So I don't think that being an older graduate sets you back. If anything, I feel like it's a huge advantage You have a lot to talk about. You have been exposed to a lot of situations, a lot of experiences, cases that I am not. Um, you have much more to offer in that sense. So that's not anything that can put you back at all. The GPA thing, I again, I would say get your EC evaluation. Again, as I said, it puts your if you graduated with like a 3.0 GPA, I'm not sure what your division between clinical subjects versus non-clinical subjects was, but they do weigh your clinical subjects higher. So let's say your CGPA is lower because you flunked your first and second year, but उनकी weightage कम होती है, तो हो सकता है आपकी GPA evaluate होके बढ़ जाए because आपने अपने clinical में ज़्यादा अच्छा किया है. So I would probably honestly get an EC evaluation if you have like a little bit of money to spare. Get that. Let's see where that lands you. And honestly, if you're a professor, like Masha, you've been graduated, you've been working, you have other experiences. There's a lot more that you are offering. So I think there's like that's stuff that I lack in, right? But I got
Right.
in. So it's how you use that to your strength and how you use that in your application, or you use that in your letter, your personal statement. Okay,
Right.
what was your motivation to suddenly, go to the United States after this many years of practicing over here?
Right. Running your
So
own clinic, doing lectureship, um, a couple of um, even क्या कहते हैं researches. They're not published yet, but I'm hopeful कि soon कोई ना कोई अच्छी international journal में कोई ना कोई publication हो जाएगी. So all of that could be an advantage
for
as compared to the GPA. I think clinic, running your own clinic, working at dental college as a lecturer, having your own research, a couple of
sure.
researches.
Yeah, those are very, very strong suits for the application. I'm not going to lie. Those are heavy suits for your application. So I wouldn't kill your motivation because of your GPA.
Right. I haven't done my EC, but I'm pretty sure कि मेरे जो clinical years थे, those were way better.
Yeah,
Because initially, you're never too serious in the first couple of years, and then eventually, when it comes
yeah,
to your practical years, you start getting a little
yeah.
more
No, for
serious. And
sure. I have seen people with a 3.2, 3.3 even go up to a 4.0 because their clinical years were better. So
oh,
I think
oh,
it's worth a shot.
okay. So first step, getting your EC, and
Yeah.
then going ahead with
Yes.
anything and everything. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I hope you have a nice day,
Thank you.
and best of luck for your future.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Right. So Rebecca, how much more time do you have? Like
I have
you
time. I'm
you have
free.
time? चलें, perfect. पहले कोई chat box में से question ले लेते हैं, then we'll get back to the people in the queue.
Let
So
me.
Ramsha is asking, does it mention if we mention in our personal statement or interviews that we took a couple of gap years, especially if those years were not very productive? Yeah.
You don't have to. You don't have to. If you maybe you can talk about the reason
Mm-hmm.
a little bit, but you don't have to mention it. No.
Perfect. Next, Malaika Rana, please unmute yourself and ask. Right, I think she is not here. Verda, you can unmute and ask.
Hello,
Right. Hey.
Assalamu alaikum. Actually, I am a BDS third year student, and I wanted to ask, is it important for us to have clinical US clinical experience, and when's the best time to do observership in US?
Yeah. So it is 100% essential for you to have US clinical experience. You do not have an application without it. Your application is not complete without US clinical experience. And then the best time is really anywhere from first year to final year. Any time that you can find to go and observe is great. If you're in third year, at the end of your third year would be ideal. I know a lot of people. I went at the end of my second year. So second year, third year, fourth year, anytime.
Okay, got it. Thank you. And also, like you said, after like in March they open the application. So once you get accepted, after like how many months do the classes start?
The classes typically start in January. Most schools start in January, and then there's a few schools जिनका मैंने mention किया था कि their deadline is in October. They start in the next year के August.
Okay, so basically it takes around 1 to 1.5 years in the whole application process.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.
Next, I'm going to take another question from the chat box. That is a question from Darshana. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, but she is asking, hi ma'am, but some of my seniors suggest don't sat that you're going for exam because it's visit visa and showing license exam is risky, and also exam fee is not refundable. What do you suggest?
Sorry, can you name the person whose question this is so I can read it?
Darshana. I think she's Darshana Bai. Darshana, if you're still in the call, you can, unmute yourself.
Oh yeah,
and ask.
I'm reading it. Suggest don't sat that don't say that you are going for exam because it's visit visa and showing license exam is risky and also exam fee is non-refundable. What do you suggest? Exam fee is non-refundable, but lying on your visa application is the worst thing that you can do. So you have to be truthful. You have to tell them that you are going for your exam. They don't mind it. You're about to put 500K USD into the process. They will never mind that. I mean, you're going through a legal route. You're going through a standardized process. You're not doing anything wrong. The country provides an opportunity and you're trying to grab it. There's nothing wrong with doing that. If you want to not risk the exam fee, then what you can do is you can tell them that I haven't booked my exam yet. I'm going to book it based on when I get the visa or if you guys give me the visa. But lying in your interview is, I'm never going to suggest that.
Great. Next, we have Zubeda Farooq. Zubeda, please unmute yourself and ask.
I'm currently a second year BDS student and I want to
Okay.
for INBDE. So should we go for observership and shadowing as a student visa or a student visa, or should we go with the visitor's visa? Because if I'm not wrong, according to new visa policy, visitor's visa require
I'm so sorry, but I cannot hear you. I'm really sorry. You're not audible.
Okay.
Or just not clear enough. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry. I want to ask a question. Like, for observership or shadowing, should we go with the visitor's visa or with the student visa? Because for visitor's visa, if I'm not wrong, it requires a pretty handsome amount. If I'm not wrong, according to new visa policy. And the next question is, can you break down the observership and the shadowing cost? And there's another question, what's the ideal time to apply for it? As I'm in second year and it's the end of the year, so it's like it's a peak of we have our exams and all, so we can't do it in this year. So should we go for next year, by the beginning of the next year or by the end of the next year?
Okay. So first thing is, should you go on a visit visa or a student visa? You cannot go on a student visa for your observership. A student visa is funded by a university. So unless you are in a university, enrolled in a university or a program, you will not get a student visa. So you will go on a visit visa to get an observership or a shadowing opportunity. Shadowing and observerships do not cost anything. The only cost that you are going to be bearing is your visa, your residence, your your flights and all of that. The clinics don't charge you to come and shadow them. That's completely free. So that, and then that was your question. And then your next question was, what's the ideal time? So whenever your university gives you a break is the ideal time for you. So let's say you have like an off in March, April, you can go at that point. And you can apply a month in advance. Like you can start emailing them a month or so in advance.
Like, can
Perfect.
you list down some universities or like some clinics in New York or in New Jersey that allow observership for international students?
There's a lot. There's a
There,
lot of them.
okay,
You can easily find them online. If you're going to New Jersey and you know where you're applying or where you're living, you can easily find clinics around that area. That's also something I help with. So like, you can definitely find places. There's a lot in New Jersey. Considering there's a lot of Desi dentists, they help out a lot.
okay. So, like, should I apply a month ahead or 3 months ahead for this?
A month or so. A month is fine. They
Oh,
won't remember in 3 months.
okay. Thank you.
No
Uh,
problem.
one last question is, will we get LOR in return from them?
You do. You tell them that you need an LOR in return. So they don't mind writing that.
Okay. And what's the like which private sector clinic or that hospital environment? Which one is beneficial and that helpful to work in?
Both are good. You can work anywhere.
Okay, and I'm doing BDS from private institute, right? And I want to do house job from a government institute because of a high patient flow and more clinical practice. So, is it matter if we do house job from a private or from a government sector?
It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter. Thank you.
No problem.
Right, great. Next is Zoha Noor. Zoha, you can unmute yourself and ask.
Hello, I'm back. Sorry about
Yeah.
that. I just want to ask you about your interview experience. Can you share some insight, like how it went and what should we do before, sitting for the interview and everything?
Okay. So the interviews, I again, since I only applied to a few places, I was very well read about those schools. I knew a lot about the schools that I was applying to. So that is something that definitely helped me because I had a lot to talk about in terms of like their program, things that they offer. A very standard question that they usually ask is, not every school asks, like Columbia didn't ask me, but most schools did, was, oh, why would you choose our school over um, Columbia, or over like another school? Like NYU always asks, if you get into Columbia or NYU both, where would you go and why? Why would you choose NYU? So they always ask about like why you want to go to their school or their program. So knowing about the school is definitely something that it helps. Then another thing is just being honest in your application, because a lot of times they will ask you about your application. Your volunteer experiences, or like what did you learn from doing this or that. So that's something that you need to be very ready about. Every little experience that you put in there holds value. So that then they have like a lot of generic questions, like how do you deal with cultural diversity? How do you deal with equity in terms of treating patients? All of that. So as you get closer to the process, there's a lot of different sources that you can take help from. A lot of videos online and all of that. But I personally did not find the interview process to be difficult. Like, I don't think it was the most difficult part of the application. I'd say putting your application in is more difficult than interviewing.
Yeah, thank you so much. And what do you recommend? Like, हमें कितना time पहले we should start preparing our personal statement and the CAAPID cycle?
For me, I would say if you're applying in the next CAAPID cycle, which is March, I would start working on my application right now. Like as I said, my application was ready to roll on the day that the application's open. Everything was done. The only thing that because there's a month in the middle from February mid till like March 7th when the application is open, the portal is completely dead. So you cannot do anything to your application at that point. So my application was fully prepared and fully set to go before February. In January, my application was set. So I would start working on it from now.
All right, like you can able to get a token for the CAPID, right? Like in January, February.
Sorry, I don't get
Like
that.
you can get a token for CAPID cycle in January, like before March, is it?
What do you mean by token?
Like you can make a registration so that the
Yes.
CAPID. All right, like you
You
can
can
do it.
make your account, you can fill in your application, you can put your experiences and everything. There's a list of things that don't get carried forward, like your personal statement, your LORs. Those need to be done on March 7th, the day that the application opens. But
Got it.
other stuff, you can fill it in beforehand.
Got it. Like it doesn't matter, like if you fill it in December or like how early you fill it, right?
No, it's actually good if you fill it in early because believe it or not, till the last day you're going to be making changes. Like so,
Correct.
the more you have in front of you, so you can envision your application and you can keep improving it or working on it, adding and subtracting things.
Got it. And the personal statement you will be able to add it by March 5 and after that when the cycle opens.
Yeah. So the person statement,
Got it.
like keep it ready on a Word document, and then as soon as the application opens, just push it in.
Got it. Thank you so much, Rebecca. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you. Do we have any more questions?
Yeah, I think we do.
Can I go ahead or should I?
Sure, Shanze. Please
Okay,
go
I'm
ahead.
so sorry itna aapka time is out, but I'm gonna keep this as quick as possible. So I'm going back to what you were saying about observerships. So abhi main ek observership kar rahi hu for a month at a clinic, and I'm looking for something else, and I'm like, वही cold calling and emails वगैरह. So I wanted to ask कि अभी for example अगर मेरे पास इस observership के बाद 3 हफ्ते रहते हैं अमेरिका में, तो would you suggest कि मैं वो 3 हफ्ते एक ही clinic पे काम करूँ, or would you suggest कि I do half at another clinic, half at another clinic? Like, does the number of clinics make my application stand out, or would it be the length of time I spend at each clinic? And one more thing, sorry. So you also mentioned कि ये applications जब आप application fill कर रहे हो तो the website is down for like a month. Is that true? Like with the mid-February?
Yeah. So from Feb 15th or Feb 20th, they shut down the portal for a whole 3 weeks or something till the application opens. So for the next year, if it's opening on March 10th, let's say, so from 20th of February till March 10th, it's going to be completely closed because that's the time they take to refresh the applications, to clean out all the dead applications, all of that.
Okay.
And then it restarts. All the things that are okay to carry forward, like all your experiences, your your degree and everything, your personal information, your school information, all of that you've already put into the system will stay there. So when you open the portal on March 5th or March 10th or just then everything is going to be fully set. The only things that you will need to add will be your personal statement and the email addresses for your letter of recommendations and the programs that you want to apply to.
I'm so sorry.
Everything will stay there.
Yeah, I'm sorry to cut you off. Oh, go ahead. Actually, go ahead.
And then for your first question, if you have 3 weeks in the US after, like let's say today, I would say do 2 observerships. And if you want to use like every day of the week, or you want to use 4 days a week, let's say to do observerships, I would do 2 and 2. So tell one clinic that you're available on Monday and Tuesday, and the other clinic that you're available on Wednesday, Thursday. That way you have a duration like of 3 weeks in both clinics, and you have 2 letters of recommendation from there.
Okay, and one more thing, मैंने कहीं पढ़ा था Reddit पे कि once you're filling in your application, तो आप उसको edit नहीं कर सकते. Like मैं कोई experience डालूँ and I need to like change it or something. So are you not able to edit?
You are able to edit your application till the point that you send it. If you
Okay.
sent your application, then you cannot edit it. Before that, you can edit everything.
Okay, and जो आप कह रही थी अभी कि a couple of days a week मैं एक clinic पे काम करूँ, couple of days दूसरे clinic पे काम करूँ, तो अभी मैं इस वक्त एक clinic पे काम कर रही हूँ, like I'm doing a month right now. तो अभी जो उसके बाद I have like 3 more weeks and I'm looking to do something else. So if I get like an opportunity to do
Then
it,
honestly, if you like, you know, you want to travel and all of that, so
yeah.
I feel like in that case 2 or 3 days a week just in one clinic is also good if you've done one already.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you.
Right. Maheen has another question in the chat box. She's asking, is there any chance for a dentist who has a CGPA of less than 3 to give it a shot? My clinical years are good and I'm a graduate of 2022, though at that time I wasn't very serious during student years.
Again, the same thing that I said earlier. I feel like just less than 3 is really like, it's really risky, but if you have some money to spare, get an EC evaluation and we can see after that if that's something that we can work with, considering the entirety of your application. Like the gentleman that we were speaking to earlier, the rest of what he was telling me was so, like, you know, highly standardized that his GPA could be overshadowed by the other things that he has done. But it really depends on the entirety of what you have as an applicant. But if you are into the process, then maybe just get an EC and check.
Perfect. We're just going to take like last 2 questions and then we wrap up. First one is from Raj. He's saying most graduates usually take 2 to 3 years, I guess, for the visa process. So how were you able to move to the US so quickly after graduations? Do you already have permanent residency or another type of visa? Also, do you advise anyone to opt for DDS out current time with so many new rules popping out every day?
I'm a US citizen, so that's why I was able to move. I saw this question repeat like 5 times in this chat box, but but other than that, I do recommend DDS. For it, again, not for everyone, but it's an amazing career plan. The return on investment is crazy. So I do recommend DDS. The new rules popping out. The thing is that every day the things that you see are not rules. They're not legitimate. A lot of them, number one, are rumors. Number two, they're all prepositions that are being made that have no bills that have been passed. There's no rules that are being set. So like the 100K H1B visa rule, that is something that's set. It's solid on ground. But there's a lot of other things that aren't. So I wouldn't really believe every Instagram post that I see.
Perfect. So Maya, please unmute yourself and ask.
Assalamu alaikum. I have 2 questions. Number one, that my GP is below 3, but right after I graduated, I did see ortho and few other courses or workshops to improve my crown bridge and all. And now I also go to 2 different clinics in peripheral village area where I handle ortho cases. So my question is, do I still have any chance to get admission in DDS?
Again, I honestly, I can't say whether or not you have a chance. I do think that things that you've done after that might be able to, you know, outshine the fact that you have a lower GPA. Again, I feel like it's worth getting an EC evaluation and checking, because again, I'm going to repeat, the clinical versus non-clinical years situation changes your GPA a lot. So I feel like that's something that can be worked on.
Okay. Also, I have another question, that when are we supposed to do observership? After INBDE or before INBDE?
It's up to you. You can do it anytime.
Okay. Next, also, what to do while I am in Pakistan? should I start like preparing for my exam, or what should be my steps?
So if clearly you're working, you're doing a lot while you are over here, mashallah. But if you are planning on giving the exam, let's say in 6 months, you can start studying. If you plan on applying for, let's say, the next cycle, you can give your TOEFL. Just keep working, keep doing what you're doing, keep looking out for volunteer opportunities. Try to do that. If you're interested in research, maybe you can take part in a couple of researches. Just things that can enhance your
Okay.
CV.
Thank you.
Right.
Also, how can we contact you?
You can contact me on my Instagram. I can put it in the chat box, and you can.
Also, can you please suggest any groups, WhatsApp groups or any community where which we can find for any sort of help?
I honestly, I feel like while you're in the process, you can find groups and you can find people who can connect you to other people. I don't think there's any groups that really talk about these things. Every year when the application starts, उस point पे बहुत groups बन जाते हैं of applicants for that year. अभी क्योंकि application end हुई है इस साल की, तो इतने कोई active groups नहीं हैं. But yeah, that's it.
Right. Great.
Okay.
Are you comfortable
Thank you.
taking
Thank you so
one
much.
last question, Rabika?
Yeah, sure.
Zubeda, would you unmute yourself and ask? I think Zubeda is not.
I think Amna.
Right.
Amna.
Right. Sure.
Hi, Rabika. Amna here.
Hi.
So I wanted to ask, if I do not have an option for someone who can co-sign my loan, I have no relatives in the US whatsoever. So what are my chances? Like I've read about Prodigy Finance, Empower Finance, but I feel like I don't really know कि मुझे कहीं से भी loan मिल भी सकता है कि नहीं.
नहीं.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Okay.
Fortunately.
Say that's all. Thank you.
No problem.
I have a question, Rabika. Like you said, you can't get a loan from Prodigy or Empower. Why do you think that is so?
Oh no, I meant I don't think negatively for that. I think negatively can't do it without a co-signer in the US.
Oh,
For Empower
right.
and Prodigy, I feel like I'm not an expert in that.
Yeah,
So you guys can definitely talk to them.
yeah, I
But-
think you can get. I'm not sure about medical field, but like if it's a business field.
Yeah, in general you can. But
can,
again, as we spoke about earlier,
Yeah.
also my laptop is about to die, so my
Sure. Great.
But
Was a great.
yeah, you can talk to them for sure.
Perfect. Guys, Rabika has, she's given her Instagram. So if you guys want to sort of reach out to her afterwards, feel free to do that. It was a great session. Thank you so much for your time. Took a lot of your time apparently, but again, thank you for helping. And
No problem.
have a great day ahead. Take care.
No problem. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.
Bye. Allah Hafiz. Allah Hafiz.